I think there are these moments, these opportunities for us to begin to say, God, in the midst of my crisis, in the midst of my what the heck moment, in the midst of moments of life where everything's being pulled apart at the seams, I would like to engage you for myself. Job is maybe the best example of this in many ways. Job has a series of ridiculously unfortunate events that befall him, and Job decides to engage God, to bring question after question after question before God. God listens, and then God says, brace yourself like a man, here I come. Turns out God has a few questions of his own. And when God is finished, Job says this, and I love the way the Message says it in Job 42, verse 5. It says, Job says, I admit I once lived by rumors of you, but now I have it all firsthand. For my own eyes and ears, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'll never do that again, I promise. I'll never again live on crusts of hearsay, crumbs of rumor. I think if we engage God with our questions, you may not walk out of it with all of the answers, but you will come out of it with the first-hand faith. Because wrestling is a contact sport. It brings us in contact with God. New Life, what would happen if as a church, instead of saying, man, I hope Ross really brings it today in the worship time. Man, I hope hope Pastor Brady really brings the heat, really brings it with his sermon. What would happen if we said, you know what? Why don't you bring it? What if we walked in the doors on a Sunday morning, not wishing and hoping that somebody else was meeting with God and then giving to us out of it? What if we said, in some feeble, small way, I am going to make contact with God this week so that when I walk into church, I walk in as a carrier of God's presence? What would happen to our services if we viewed ourselves all as priests, made for contact with God? What would happen to our workplaces? What would happen to our homes? What would happen to our schools if we decided to really live like carriers, like priests who are called to be carriers of the presence? No carts, no secondhand info, this first-hand faith.